So this week we got a brand new event in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It is titled the Black Ops Tribute Event, and with several other rewards, the one that I wanted to focus on is a brand new operator by the name of John Black Ops. Now I know, mysterious name, right? Well, if you go to this character's bio, it only gets even more mysterious than that. But what if I told you we knew the entire backstory of this character? It's actually one of the most important characters out of any of them in any game, because it doesn't only just involve Black Ops, but also modern warfare and even zombies.
Did someone say zombies?
What Anyway, to fully understand this, we got to go back in time a little bit, because to understand this, we first have to start with the original story of the first Black Ops game, Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
Where's the broadcast station?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The numbers, Mason. What do they mean? Where are they broadcasting?
I don't know anything about any numbers.
What about Dragovich? Do you remember him?
And with a little bit of a blast from the past, you have to remember what this game was really about. Alex Mason gets captured and brought into a Russian gulag, where he is brainwashed. He is brainwashed by Russians to put a numbers sequence in his head, and throughout the rest of the game, it essentially functions as a flashback, trying to figure out what do the numbers mean, Mason. But by the very end, Mason ends up breaking on through, and we find out several different things, including Victor Reznov, the person who deprogrammed him, is apparently dead. But more specifically than that, after Hudson seemingly de-brainwashes and fully discovers what's going on inside of Alex Mason's head, we are left with another flashback, one of Alex Mason being involved with the JFK assassination. And in fact, it was proven through the papers that Donald Trump released that that is indeed what happened to JFK. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But this had actually a huge outcome on what would happen with the main characters in the Black Ops universe. You see, even though Alex Mason got deprogrammed and de-brainwashed, the CIA didn't know whether or not he was able to be trusted. They didn't know how deep that brainwashing from the Russians actually went. So they put together a plan. Something by the name of Operation Charybdis. I am probably saying that wrong, but I'm doing my best here. Now, first of all, just a little bit of background. Charybdis is actually something from Greek mythology. It is a sea monster that was a part of the Odyssey. Just giving you a little background information. Now, this mission was put together by someone by the name of Ryan Jackson. Now, you may recognize that name, but only if you've played a game that wasn't on console. Something by the name of Black Ops Declassified.
Agent Ryan Jackson, Office of the Inspector General, case number 290184, January 8th, 1990. I've spent the better part of my career at the agency studying the lives of these men. First under former ADSAD Richard Kane, and again, now with OIG.
Now, in this game, his job was to go over all the missions that Alex Mason, Frank Woods, Jason Hudson, and Weaver all went on to decide whether or not they were reliable sources for the CIA. And Black Ops Declassified actually takes place in 1990, 1 year before the events of Black Ops 6. However, he also looked into them under the name of Richard Kane, which is the person that we see on the papers for Operation Charybdis, and at that point decided that these characters, specifically Mason, Hudson, and Weaver, should be taken out. As we know, this was never carried out because we have games like Black Ops Cold War, even Black Ops 2, where Alex Mason, Hudson are still alive after these time and dates, the late 70s. So what exactly happened here? Now, we'll get to the John that is mentioned in Charybdis and the John from John Black Ops, but first, what happened with Operation Charybdis? Who stopped it? Well, as we found out on one of the pieces of intel within the Zombies map Firebase Z in Black Ops Cold War, the person to put an end to this mission was none other than Edward or Eddie Richtofen, the director of Requiem. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm an expert in zombies, so I thought we would bring someone who is an expert on zombies in to say something about this.
All right, perfect. Let me get the whiteboard here. We'll unveil everything.
Oh, dude, I don't think we need a full whiteboard speech here.
Wait, What? You don't want me to get the whiteboard?
Like, come on, how big of a deal could it actually be that the zombies character, Edward Richtofen, all of a sudden is interacting with the campaign characters?
No, I can't stand for this. This isn't okay? It's obviously very important that Richtofen, the director, was directly involved with the campaign characters, because without his directive to make sure that Weaver did actually get put in that position as lead of Requiem, Weaver would instead have been rejected from the role because of his involvement with Operation Charybdis. So Richtofen was essential to making that happen, and essential for constructing the whole team to begin with. I mean, without Richtofen's influence there, we don't have a Cold War zombies. So yeah, I mean, you tell me, do you think that that's important, right? Do you think that that has some sort of story impact, some weight, some gravitas?
Okay, all right, it's a damn big deal. I get it. Cold War zombies and that whole timeline wouldn't actually exist if it wasn't for Operation Charybdis and Edward Richtofen stepping in and stopping this operation. It's a damn big deal. But anyway, back to the point. Who is John? So if we go and have a look at his bio in game, you can see he's one of the few characters where everything, and quite literally everything, name, birth date, nationality, everything has been redacted. We know nothing about this character, unless we go back to the papers for Operation Charybdis. In this paper, Ryan Jackson is asking to join an operative from MI6 and the SAS. Now, we'll come back to that in a second, but in the final paragraph, it says going by the name of Jonathan Blank, or John Black Ops. And as you can tell, the last name of this person is a very short last name. So there's actually two people who this could be referring to. Number one is the one that probably all of you are yelling at the screen, and that's Jonathan Price, or Captain John Price. But as we saw off of this memo, this takes place in the 70s. Well, if you saw my video from quite literally 1 week ago, Captain Price has a whole family of people who have been in the military. But of course, his father and him specialize in MI6 and the SAS, so this character on the Operation Charybdis paper could very well be Captain John Price's father. Except I had a problem with this, because this character, Captain Price, is very heavily based in Modern Warfare, and then they are bringing in John Black Ops, clearly a reference to Charybdis, as a Black Ops tribute event. So I thought maybe I was missing something, because for years I just assumed that that character on the Charybdis papers was indeed Jonathan Price, because he worked for MI6 and SAS, and he was from the UK, and all of these things lined up. But what if there was another option that we all looked over, another John by the name of John Trent? You see, in Black Ops 1, there was a terminal where you could view intel on it, and there was a series of emails sent from someone by the name of John Trent to Jason Hudson in reference to Alex Mason, warning him of what was going to happen to JFK. Now, we've talked about this before, but John Trent makes several references in this email to direct phrases that were used by Victor Reznov, leading us to believe that John Trent was indeed Victor Reznov. Now, if you don't know, back in Black Ops 1, this is what ended up happening to Victor Reznov at the very end of the Vorkuta mission.
Mason, jump! Go, Mason, go! Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me! Reznov!
So we actually never see Victor Reznov die, but it is heavily implied and told to us by Jason Hudson that he did. Yet these emails from John Trent to Jason Hudson are warning him about Alex Mason and what is going on there. So I think it would be evidently clear to Jason Hudson who these emails were actually from, just based off of what he was saying. And clearly he is working with America. The other interesting thing about the name Trent, it has the background of being an English or a Scottish name. In other words, being over from the UK, or someone who would work for MI6 or the SAS. S. So what if we had this wrong the entire time? What if after Vorkuta, Viktor Reznov was scooped up by MI6, assumed the name John Trent, and was letting the CIA know what was going on behind the scenes? And when he started to hear wind from someone by the name of Ryan Jackson, that indeed Alex Mason was still compromised and we still had to worry about him. What if Viktor Reznov, or sorry, John Trent, felt responsible for the death of JFK because he wasn't able to unbrainwash Alex Mason back in Vorkuta prison? So he took it upon himself to take this mission, to take Charybdis, or however you say it, upon himself to be the one that would pull the trigger. And after having inside knowledge as to how Mason would work and their time together inside Vorkuta, he would easily be able to do so. That is, until Richthofen pulled that plug. So yeah, it's a story that ties together zombies, the campaign, and the lore of many different characters. John Black Ops is indefinitely a mystery. He is a character with no background, completely redacted. Just like the background of John Trent, by the way, if he was indeed Viktor Reznov. But aside from that, it is a mysterious character, and I think it goes one of two ways. We know for sure that this character is 100% entrenched in the Charybdis operation. However, who is Jonathan Blank? Is he indeed Captain John Price, or his father? Or is it someone like John Trent, aka Viktor Reznov? After giving you the information, I would love to know what you think down in the comments, and if you have any other theories, feel free to let me know. But if you enjoy these type of story videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. Thank you, Milo, for coming and joining me on this one. That was a lot of fun. And until next time.
Oh, hell yeah.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made